She picked up the phone on the first ring. Luca. Her voice was steady. She had rehearsed this moment 100 times. What she would say, how calm she would sound. But when she heard his voice on the other end, warm and casual, as if nothing in the world had changed, all of it collapsed. Elena. Hey. Hey. 5 years. And he said hey. She had seen the photo 3 hours earlier. It was a Sunday morning in Paris, gray and still, and she was scrolling through Instagram the way she always did, half asleep, coffee going cold on her nightstand, when Luca's face appeared. He was laughing, really laughing, the kind that reached his eyes, the kind she used to believe was reserved only for her. His arm was around a woman with dark hair and a bright red coat, and the caption beneath the photo read, "Grateful for new beginnings." The timestamp said yesterday. She had spoken to him on Friday. Elena had stared at the screen for so long it went dark in her hands. They had met 6 years ago, in a small university town in northern Italy, at a cafe table during a thunderstorm, when she was the only one who hadn't bolted for cover and he had sat across from her simply because every other seat was taken. He was funny. He was restless in a way she found exciting back then, always talking about what came next, what was possible, who he intended to become. By the time the rain stopped, she had given him her number without him asking. For the first year, everything felt easy. Then he got the offer, a consultancy role in London, too good to turn down. She understood. Of course she understood. She was 24 and still believed that love was enough of a reason to be patient. "It won't be long," he had said at the airport, his forehead resting against Hayes, his hands holding her face the way they always did when he was being serious. "A year, maybe 2. Then we figure it out together. I promise you." She had believed him completely. She turned down a job offer in Amsterdam because it would have moved her further from London. She ended things with Marco, a kind, steady man who had wanted to take her to dinner 3 times before she finally said yes, because Luca had said, quietly and without accusation, that it was hard to think of her going on dates. She booked flights to London twice a year and called him every Friday night without fail, and she told her mother, who had been skeptical from the beginning, who had watched Elena rearrange her life around someone else's ambitions with growing alarm, that she knew what she was doing. Year 3. The calls got shorter. She noticed but said nothing. Year 4. He stopped bringing up the future unprompted. She started raising it instead, gently at first, then more directly, and he would always give her some version of the same answer. Soon. Just a little longer. We're almost there. She told herself he was tired. She told herself long distance was hard on everyone. She told herself that 5 years of loyalty had to mean something. Now she was on the phone, standing at her window in an apartment she had chosen partly for its proximity to the Eurostar terminal, and Luca was telling her about Sophie. "Who is she?" Elena asked. No greeting, no preamble. A pause. "Elena." "Who is she, Luca?" She heard him exhale slowly, the way he always did when he was choosing his words carefully. She knew that sound better than she knew her own heartbeat. She had spent 5 years learning him through a phone speaker, counting his silences, interpreting his pauses, reading entire paragraphs into the spaces between his words. "Her name is Sophie," he said. "She works in my office. It's been a few weeks." Elena laughed. She didn't mean to. It just came out, short and hollow and involuntary. "Weeks," she repeated. "You've been with someone for weeks, and I'm finding out from Instagram. I was going to tell you." "When? Luca? When were you going to tell me?" He didn't answer. She walked to the window and pressed her forehead against the cold glass. Outside, Paris was gray and slow and holding its breath. "Do you remember what you said to me at the airport?" she asked. Her voice was quieter now, more dangerous. "Elena, do you remember?" Another silence. "I remember. You told me 2 years. 2 years, and then we'd finally start our life together." She could feel the tremor trying to creep into her voice, and she refused it. "I turned down Amsterdam for you. I ended things with Marco because you said you needed to know I was still yours. I spent every birthday and every New Year's and every ordinary Friday night on a video call so you wouldn't feel alone. A beat, and you've been with someone for a few weeks." "We were drifting apart," Luca said. "You know we were. It hadn't been real for a long time. It was real to me." "Elena." His voice softened in a way that made everything worse. You were holding on to something that stopped existing a long time ago. Some part of you must have known that. She pulled the phone away from her ear and pressed it against her chest for a moment, as if she could muffle the cracking sound coming from somewhere in her ribcage. Then she brought it back. I defended you, she said quietly, to everyone. My mother told me years ago that you would never actually commit, and I told her she was wrong. My friend Camille said the same thing, and I stopped speaking to her for a month because of it. I built my entire life around a future you had quietly stopped intending to show up for, and you didn't even have the decency to tell me. I'm sorry, he said. I genuinely am. You're a good person, Elena, the best person I've ever known. But I'm not in love with you the way you deserve to be loved. And there it was, the line she had feared for years, dressed up in kindness, offered like something generous. Don't, she said. Don't make this sound like a favor. I'm not trying to. You're trying to leave without being the villain, but you don't get to quietly disappear from 5 years and still walk away as a good guy, Luca. It doesn't work like that. He went quiet. For a long moment there was only the sound of distant traffic below her window and his careful, measured breathing on the line. What do you want me to say? He finally asked. She thought about it, really thought about it. What she had imagined saying in this exact moment, all the time she used to rehearse it at 2 in the morning when sleep wouldn't come. She had wanted him to explain himself. She had wanted him to sit inside the weight of what he had cost her. She had wanted, more than anything, for him to actually understand. But standing at that window, watching the gray city breathe below her, she realized something clearly for the first time. Nothing he said was going to give her back the years. Nothing, she said. There's nothing you can say. She hung up before he could respond. For a long while she just stood there. Then she picked up her coffee, cold now, long past saving, and she drank it anyway. In the weeks that followed, everyone waited for Elena to fall apart. Camille came over twice a week with wine and careful, watchful eyes. Her mother called every few days with a worried voice she was trying to disguise as a normal one. Everyone was quietly braced for the collapse. It didn't come. Not because she wasn't hurting. She was in that deep and wordless way that lives somewhere below the ribs and only surfaces at 2 in the morning when the apartment is too quiet and the future feels like a room with all the furniture removed. But somewhere inside the pain was something she hadn't expected. Space. Room she hadn't realized she had been holding herself out of for years. She booked the weekend trip to Bruges. She had postponed 3 separate times because Luca had always been about to visit. She said yes to Camille's dinner party on a Friday night. A Friday, for the first time in longer than she could remember. She rearranged her furniture. She took long walks without her phone. She started sleeping with the window open. Small things, but they were entirely, completely her own. 3 months later, she heard through a mutual friend that Sophie had ended things with Luca, that he had been asking whether Elena was all right, that he had wondered whether she might want to talk. She read the message. She set her phone face down on the table. Then she picked up her coat, walked out into the Paris afternoon, and kept moving. She hadn't lost him. She had just spent so long waiting for him that she had quietly, gradually lost herself in the process. And now, one unhurried step at a time, through the cold streets of a city she had chosen for the wrong reasons and was only just beginning to choose for her own, she was finding her way back.
If this story touched you in any way, take a moment to think about it. How many times do we hold on to people, to promises, to memories, hoping they'll turn into something real, only to realize we were the only ones holding on? Elena's story isn't just about heartbreak. It's about knowing your worth and understanding that sometimes letting go is the beginning of something better. If you've ever been in her place, or you know someone who has, share this video with them. You never know who might need to hear this today. And if you enjoy stories like this, real, emotional, and thought-provoking, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story. Because sometimes, the stories we watch are the ones we need the most. See you in the next one.